Hello and welcome back to Duolingo Spanish Study with me. This is episode 5. We're on section 3 Traveller, unit 10. We're going to give directions and use object pronouns. To turn,
Girar.
there we go. So here's another instruction.
Señora, tome un taxi allá.
Señora, so kind of like señor. Señora is the feminine version. Tome is again an instruction. And it comes from the infinitive tomar, which is to take. So if this is going to be an instruction, it's going to be Señora, ma'am, take a taxi there. Allá, or allí, is there.
Siga en esta calle, señor.
Okay? Siga en esta calle, señor. So, en esta calle is in, or on, or at this street. Esta is this. Esta without an accent is this. And they've put an A on the end because what they're talking about, calle is a feminine word. La calle. Calle means street. But what does this first word mean? It's a new word that Duolingo's recommending. It actually means continue. So continue on this street, sir.
Señora, siga por aquí y luego gire a la izquierda.
Okay, señora, siga por aquí y luego gire a la izquierda. So, ma'am, continue here. Por aquí is this way. So, por ahí is kind of that way. Por aquí is this way. So, continue this way. Y luego, and later, turn to the left. Señora, siga por aquí y luego gire a la izquierda. There we go.
Perdone, señor, ¿qué hora es?
Perdone. So, here they've used perdone, but you can simply just say perdón or perdóname. This is simply it just means excuse me. Señor, sir. And this is a very, very common phrase in pretty much all languages, but in Spanish, ¿qué hora es? Means what time is it?
Perdone, ¿cómo llego al Museo de Arte Moderno?
Perdone, ¿cómo llego al Museo de Arte Moderno? So what does this mean? Well, we've got that perdone, which means excuse me. ¿Cómo llego al museo? So if we look over here, ¿cómo is how, llego is arrive. So if we add them together, you can say how arrive, how do I arrive, how do I get. Al is the combination of a and el. So a is to, el is the. How do I arrive to the? How do I get to the museo? How do I get to the museum de arte moderno, which is modern art. So how do I get to the Museum of Modern Art? This person's going to reply. And this first one here means no, we don't want dessert, thank you. So it's not going to be that. This one is going to be an instruction, tome. That's from the infinitive tomar, to take. And it's an instruction, so it's tome el metro, take the metro, en el parque, so take the metro in the park. And continue, siga, dos estaciones, 2 stations. So take the metro in the park and continue 2 stations.
¿Cuál es el banco más cercano?
¿Cuál es el banco más cercano? What does this mean? Well, ¿cuál is which? Es el banco, is the bank. But we've got this más cercano. Más cercano means the closest. So, for example, el más rápido is the fastest. So, más cercano is actually where is the nearest bank. Sorry, which is the nearest bank?
Perdone, ¿usted sabe cómo llego al zoológico?
So here we're using usted, which is a formal way of speaking in Spanish. Perdón, usted sabe, because we're using usted, a formal way of speaking, sabes, which is do you know, actually becomes sabe because we're using the usted. Usted sabe, which is do you know, cómo, how, llego, arrive, how to get to, or how to get, there we go, how to arrive, al, and again that is a and el, to the, and then zoo. So, excuse me, do you know how to get to the zoo? And this person's saying it in a formal manner. So there's two replies here. We know it's going to be the bottom one because it's got the tome, which is the instruction. Take the metro to the station, Casa Campos. Casa Campos. I think that's in Madrid. Tome el metro a la estación Casa Campos. So it's number 2.
Disculpe, señor, ¿qué calle es esta?
Disculpe, señor, ¿qué calle es esta? Disculpe is excuse me. And again, perhaps this person could have said perdón, perdóname, but they said disculpe. And that is a good way, actually. The way I kind of think about it is, if I'm passing someone in the street, I'd probably say, ay, perdóname. If I'm actually looking to get somebody's attention, like a waiter, disculpe is probably more... I wouldn't say it's more common, but it's the way I use it. So, excuse me, señor. And then there's going to be a question here. ¿Qué calle es esta? What street is this? And again, esta is feminine because what we're talking about is feminine. Excuse me, sir, what street is this?
Disculpe, señor, ¿cómo llego a la librería? Disculpe, señor.
Let's listen to that again.
Disculpe, señor, ¿cómo llego a la librería? ¿Cómo llego a la librería?
So, let's listen to that once more slowly.
Disculpe, señor, ¿cómo llego a la librería?
Librería. That means a bookshop. So it doesn't mean library. Library is biblioteca. Librería is a bookshop. So, again, disculpe. So you're getting somebody's attention and you're saying, excuse me. Disculpe, señor. Excuse me, sir. ¿Cómo llego? How do I arrive? How do I get? A is to. Now notice this time we don't have al. And that's because what we're talking about is actually feminine. Al is only used when it's a and el. So if it was, for example, if it was el gimnasio, you could say al gimnasio, el cine. Here they've used a, la, because this doesn't join together like al. And I think the reason is because a, el is it's not very fluid to say. A la is a lot better. So, a la librería. Disculpe, señor, ¿cómo llego a la librería? So, excuse me, sir, how do I get to the bookshop? Or the bookstore if you're in America.
Disculpe, señor, ¿dónde está la estación del metro?
Okay, this is similar. Disculpe, señor, excuse me, sir. ¿Dónde está? Which is a very basic phrase. It means where it is. But you're asking a question, so where is it? ¿Dónde está? But you've actually added something to it here. ¿Dónde está la estación del metro? So where it is, the station of the metro. But if you wanted to kind of translate it, not literally, but translate it into English, it would be, excuse me, sir, where is the metro station? Disculpe, señor, pero ¿dónde está la estación del metro? Perdón, usted sabe dónde. So again, we're using usted, so sabes becomes sabe. Perdón, usted sabe dónde something los baños más cercanos. Again, we've got that más cercanos, the nearest. Los baños is the toilets, the bathrooms. Perdón, usted sabe means do you know in a formal sense. Donde, where, something, the nearest bathrooms. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use they are, or we're going to use they are. Do you know where they are the nearest bathrooms? And in English it would be, do you know where the nearest bathrooms are? But because we're talking about something that's plural, los baños, baños, we're going, instead of está, we need to use están, because it ends, for plural things, we need to use the they conjugation. Do you know where they are? So altogether this would mean, excuse me, do you know where the nearest bathrooms are? You have to turn to the right, and this is a very useful rule actually in Spanish with have to. It actually comes from the infinitive tener, which is to have. If you want to conjugate that into anything, I have, yo tengo, you have, tú tienes, they have, tú tienen, and again it ends with that N. If you want to change it to have to instead of yo tengo, I have, if I wanted to change it to I have to, all you need to do is add a que afterwards. So for example, you have to turn to the right. So we're actually speaking to somebody else here. So we're going to need to conjugate the verb to have, tener, to the tú, you conjugation. That is going to be tienes. Tú tienes. And I think it wants us to use usted here.
Usted tiene que.
So if we weren't speaking formally, it would be tú tienes que. You have to. But because we are using usted here, which is the formal way of speaking, we turn tienes into tiene, similar to how you would use it if you were talking in third person. Usted tiene que. You have to, and now we need the verb to turn,
Girar.
which we've learned is girar, to turn, and then we need to the right. A la
La.
derecha.
Derecha.
So this is going to be, you have to turn to the right in a formal in a formal way of speaking. This is the nearest store. So let's tackle it then. Esta, this. And again, esta without the accent means this. We've used an A because what we are talking about, store, which is tienda, is feminine. So this, and now we need is the. Well, in this case, we need to use the ser version, which is dead easy. Ser is the original verb. We're going to use, instead of esta, we're going to use es. This is the nearest store. Esta es la tienda. And remember, when you are talking about words like nearest, they come after the actual object. So, esta es la tienda. This is the store. And then we learnt just before,
Más cercana.
más cercana. There we go. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to support me. Keep on learning, and I'll see you on the next one.